Here's the real reason Cyberpunk 2077 is delayed. Wake up, samurai, we have a city to burn. Well, eventually, because folks, once more, the only truly dependable thing about 2020 has happened. Cyberpunk 2077 has been delayed once again. Now, it's disappointing news, but not exactly surprising given the ambitious size and scope of this game, plus they need to make Keanu Reeves look as breathtaking as humanly possible.
You're breathtaking!
On Tuesday, CD Projekt Red announced via the official Cyberpunk 2077 Twitter feed that the massive open-world action RPG is being pushed back from November 19th to December 10th. Today, we've decided to move the release day of Cyberpunk 2077 by 21 days. The new release date is December 10th. Most likely there are many emotions and questions in your head, so first and foremost, please accept our humble apologies. The biggest challenge for us right now is shipping the game on current gen, next gen, and PC at the same time, which requires us to prepare and test 9 versions of it. Xbox One and X, compatibility on Xbox Series S and X, PS4 Pro, compatibility on the PS5, PC, Stadia, while working from home. Now, this is understandable to anyone who has a sense of what it takes to produce a AAA video game title, let alone one of the most anticipated video games of the year. Now, if you aren't familiar, I highly recommend checking out Jason Schreier's book, Blood, Sweat, and Pixels, which gets into the sausage of how video games are made. Now, suffice it to say, a game like this takes dozens of people, hundreds and hundreds of hours over the span of months and sometimes years to bring it to life. Now, there was also some confusion about the fact that Cyberpunk 2077 had gone gold, which in the games industry means the game is at a stable point where the developer can then create a master disc upon which all other copies of the game are going to be based. Now, that said, as has become the norm for video games nowadays, there are almost always day 0 or day 1 patches designed to fix numerous bugs and performance issues at launch, and Cyberpunk 2077 will be no different. As CDPR noted in their statement, the game is ready, can be completed, and has all content in it, but the time period necessary for a day 0 patch designed to be installed before you play the game to improve your overall experience, that is what they undercalculated. CDPR added, "We're aware it may seem unrealistic when someone says that 21 days can make a difference in such a massive and complex game, but they really do." As reported by PAP Business and confirmed by IGN on a conference call following the delay's announcement, CD Projekt CEO Adam Kaczynski explained the real reason Cyberpunk 2077 is delayed. And no, it's not that adjustable wiener slider, rather it's because of current-gen consoles. Kaczynski said, "The game for PC is ready and plays well on next-gen consoles, and the company is finalizing the process concerning current-gen consoles." So while that may sound like small potatoes in the face of the endless barrage of next-gen console news and stuff about graphics cards like the RTX 3080 being sold out, we need to remember the bulk of Cyberpunk 2077's non-PC gaming sales will be on consoles like the PS4 and the Xbox One, which have an install base of millions of gamers all around the world. Obviously, CDPR wants to make sure Cyberpunk 2077 is optimized for this next generation of consoles and PC graphics cards, that way it can be a flagship title for this era of gaming, but to ignore the existing users would frankly be foolhardy. You're not going to leave money on the table like that. Now, obviously, being the perfectly rational beings that they are, most gamers took this news in stride, wishing the developers well, and hoping that they can make it to the finish line sooner rather than later. Now, some vented their frustrations online, complaining that this delay ruined their plans to take time off from work to play the game on day 1, but others took things to a far darker and frankly completely unacceptable place by sending death threats to the developers themselves. On Twitter, Cyberpunk 2077 design lead Andrzej Zawadski had this to say, "I want to address one thing in regards of the @Cyberpunk game delay. I understand you're feeling angry, disappointed, and want to voice your opinion about it. However, sending death threats to the developers is absolutely unacceptable and just wrong. We are people just like you." So if you're the sort of smooth-brained doofus who thinks this kind of behavior is acceptable in any way, shape, or form, I urge you, please log off, walk directly into the ocean, and cool off. You don't deserve nice things, and you should seek out therapy to think about why you act the way you do, because honestly, dude, this ain't it. So the developers of Cyberpunk 2077, they're already under immense amounts of stress without toxic, entitled fans threatening their lives over a video game. For weeks now, they've been crunching to get this game ready for launch, which has created a controversy in and of itself. For those who don't know, crunch is a games industry term referring to the frenzied period of working practically around the clock towards the end of a game's development cycle so they can fix bugs and meet sometimes impossible deadlines. It often leads to working nights, weekends, and in many cases, countless hours of unpaid overtime. For many studios, working crunch is not optional, it's expected of the employees, and it leads to employee burnout, illness, and shattered home lives. It's considered a massive problem in the games industry, which has no labor unions to protect its developers. CD Projekt Red have been working 6-day weeks to finish Cyberpunk 2077 since late September, according to an email obtained by Bloomberg from CD Projekt Red boss Adam Badowski. Starting today, the entire studio is in overdrive. I take it upon myself to receive the full backlash for the decision. I know this is in direct opposition to what we've said about crunch. It's also in direct opposition to what I personally grew to believe a while back, that crunch should never be the answer. But we've extended all other possible means of navigating the situation. While this extra work will be paid in accordance with Polish labor laws, the frantic dash to the finish line has an adverse effect on some of CDPR's employees. On Twitter, Bloomberg's Jason Schreier, who first broke this crunch report, noted that a CDPR developer recently told him they just clocked a 100-hour week. Another former dev just told me they saw some of their friends there and they looked physically ill, so kindly GTFO with the but I work long hours too responses. In the immortal, oft-quoted words of legendary game designer Shigeru Miyamoto, a delayed game is eventually good, but a rushed game is forever bad. Now that's a great quote, but what about the human cost of a crunched game? That's something that's far harder to calculate, and it's something the games industry must reckon with sooner rather than later. Cyberpunk 2077 is available on the PS4, PS5, PC, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, and Stadia on December 10th. But in the meantime, tell me, what do you think of this news? Would you rather wait to play a better version of Cyberpunk 2077? How do you think game studios can solve the crunch problem? Let's discuss in the comments below, and for the latest and greatest in the world of pop culture, make sure you stay tuned to Nerdist.com.